demons are real, the devil's real, which I kind of like knew before, but it's different to have like an intellectual knowing versus like a tangible physical experience, like an undeniable thing. And that's what this was. And my next thought was, if the devil's real, that means God's real too. And that changed everything, because like now I knew, and I'm like, okay, the God of the Bible is real. Like, so I kept doing these videos, these deliverance videos, and stuff kept coming out. And I began to feel different. I began to feel lighter. And I remember one in particular, it was like for the first time ever, my mind was quiet, which is wild because it's never been quiet my whole life. But in that moment, my mind was quiet. There was nothing. And I was like, there was just like a peace, and like specifically, like at this time, I was hearing, I say hearing voices, but I thought it was my own voice. And it was just, I kept hearing, I want to die, I want to die. And I didn't want to die, and I knew that. And like, I know what it's like to be suicidal. Like I struggled with that when I was younger, and I knew I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't even depressed. But this voice was like, it just kept saying this over and over again. And after one of the deliverance videos I did, it stopped. And I haven't heard it since. I haven't been depressed since. I haven't really had bad anxiety since. And I have now this peace that was like everything I was looking for, but never found. Like, I feel like I always would find it temporarily in other things, but it never lasted. And okay, so the big part, I'll say, okay, so one of these nights, like right after all these deliverance things, like this took a process of, it was a process of maybe like 2-3 weeks of all this going on. But I was in my room, and I felt, sorry, those are my dogs. I felt I don't even know how to say it, but it had to have been the presence of God in the room. It was like Jesus was in the room. And I remember just falling to my knees, and I remember it's just like I didn't see anything, but it felt like this warm gold light. And then I felt, it's like he showed me, not with words, but with like a feeling, like everything I had done and how wrong it was. And like I felt that, I felt like how it hurt him. I felt like, I want to say like the weight of my sin, right? And I just felt it, and it was stuff that, other people had been telling me, like, hey, what you're doing is not quite right, blah, blah, blah. But I never listened. I never saw it. It just like, but this, like, I felt it, and I knew it, and I knew it was the truth. And then I felt like I had this big debt, like $1 trillion debt, and someone had just paid it for me. I felt like Jesus paid it for me, and he did it knowing that I would never be able to pay him back. It's like if someone pays off your debt knowing all you got to give in return are pennies, but they do it anyway. And that's what it felt like. And then after that, it's like from one day to the next, like I couldn't listen to like regular music anymore, secular music. Like I couldn't hear curse words, I couldn't cuss anymore. Like I used to, I mean, I wasn't like a sailor or anything, but I would cuss quite a bit, and like now it just like it physically like irked me to hear cuss words or like hear certain songs, hear all songs really, even ones that weren't that bad. I went through my house and I threw away everything. I burned a bunch of books. I had crystals and a ton of books on metaphysics, on yoga, on, energy healing, on all these things that I was into. I burned clothes that I used during ceremonies. And it's been, like I said, well, now, like, since that experience, it's been like a year and a half, right? And I don't regret any of it. It's crazy. Like, I found a church. I love my church. And I feel like now when things happen, like, I don't feel alone anymore. I don't feel like I'm responsible for everything. I feel like obviously I play my part, but I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel like I'm not a spiritual orphan, which is the feeling I had before all of this. It was like I was alone, and it was like I had to figure stuff out, and I had to have control of my life and everything. And now I just feel like, okay, I surrender it all to God, and He's been taking care of me, and I just don't feel alone. And the most important thing out of it all is I don't feel like I'm searching anymore. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. It's not like, go find Jesus, your life is going to be perfect. It's not. Your life is, you're human. It's not going to be perfect, but you're not going to feel empty. You're not going to feel alone. You're not going to feel like you need to fix something. I think a problem with what I was into was that you're always on this healing journey to heal. I don't feel like I need healing anymore. Like, I don't feel like I'm broken. Like, obviously room for improvement, and I don't want to say like there's nothing I can work on. There is, of course, but like I don't feel broken. And it's a good feeling. There's a verse that talks about, when like He has waters that you don't know about, that you'll never thirst again, something like that. But I found that to be true. I found that to be very true. So anyways, that's why I made this video, just to share this story. And it's something I've been wanting to make for a while, but just didn't really know where to start, because there's like a lot. Like I could go into, all the spiritual torment I experienced as a child, and like why I got into looking into the spiritual stuff, but we'll leave that for another day. But I say all that to say that if you feel lost spiritually, if you feel broken, if you feel like something's missing, try Jesus, try God. If you genuinely look for Him, He'll find you, He'll answer you. And honestly, what you've got to lose, It's by far the best decision I've made in my life. And then, going through reading the Bible, after this I had like a voracious appetite for the Bible. I read the whole thing cover to cover in less than a year. There's so many things I wish I had known before. Like, wish I had read it before, so I wouldn't have made so many stupid mistakes. But anyways, I'm glad I read it now, and I just want to say that, like, you could keep going on your little hamster wheel of moving from this New Age practice to this one, to that one, to that one, but ask yourself, like, are you really better off? Like, where you are now from when you started, like, how much better do you actually feel? Like, I'm sure there's stuff that's improved, but like, how much longer do you plan on going? Like, if the results haven't shown up and it's been over a decade, you know, maybe it's time to try something different. So, anyways, anyways, that's it.